Roman social dining culture. The Romans viewed meals as more than just sustenance, they were social and cultural events, particularly for the upper classes. Cene, the main meal of the day, was often served in the late afternoon and could last for hours, especially during banquets. The wealthy would host elaborate feasts where guests reclined on couches while being served multiple courses. Meals would often begin with appetizers, gestatio, followed by the main course, primi mensae, and ending with desserts, secundi mensae. For the poor, meals were simpler and often eaten on the go, usually consisting of bread, porridge, and vegetables. Common Romans ate more modest dishes but still valued good flavors, using herbs and spices to season their meals. Expanded Roman recipes. 1. Libum, Roman sacrificial cheesecake. Libum was often used in religious rituals and offerings to the gods, particularly household gods. Though considered a sacred cake, it was also eaten in everyday life by those who could afford cheese and honey. Ingredients: 2 cups fresh ricotta cheese or any soft cheese. 1 egg. 1 cup wheat flour, you can use spelt flour for a more authentic version. Bay leaves. Honey for drizzling. Recipe: mix the ricotta cheese with the egg in a bowl. Gradually stir in the wheat flour until you form a dough. Shape the dough into small loaves or cakes, about the size of your palm. Place bay leaves on the bottom of a baking tray and set the cakes on top. Bake in a preheated oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit 190 degrees Celsius for 30 to 40 minutes until golden. Remove from the oven and drizzle with honey. The fragrance of the bay leaves adds a special aroma to the cakes. Cultural significance: libum was a traditional offering to Lares, the protective spirits of the household. It was often presented during religious ceremonies, such as festivals dedicated to family gods, but also enjoyed as a sweet treat. 2. Maritum, a herb cheese spread. This rustic dish, mentioned in Virgil's Georgics, was a typical peasant food, highlighting the simple yet flavorful diet of rural Romans. It was often made fresh in the morning and consumed with coarse bread. Ingredients: 1 cup fresh cheese, ricotta, feta, or pecorino. 3 garlic cloves, crushed. A handful of fresh herbs like parsley, cilantro, or mint. 1 tablespoon olive oil. Salt to taste. Black pepper, optional. Recipe: crush the garlic cloves in a mortar and pestle. Add the fresh herbs and grind them into a paste. Mix the cheese into the herb-garlic mixture, blending until smooth. Drizzle in olive oil to achieve a creamy consistency. Season with salt and pepper to taste. Serve as a spread with Roman-style bread, bread made from coarse wheat or spelt. Cultural significance: this dish was common in rural areas where farmers made use of fresh herbs, garlic, and simple dairy products. It shows how even lower-class Romans could enjoy flavorful food. 3. Garum, fermented fish sauce. Garum was the quintessential Roman condiment, used in almost every dish to add a salty, umami-rich flavor. It was a key ingredient in Roman kitchens, much like soy sauce is in Asian cuisine today. Ingredients: 2 pounds of small fish or fish scraps, anchovies, sardines, or mackerel. 1 pound of salt. Recipe: in a large jar or container, alternate layers of fish and salt. Cover the jar with a cloth and place it in a warm, sunny location for 2 to 3 months to ferment. After fermentation, strain the liquid, this is garum, and discard the solid fish remains. Store the garum in a sealed bottle and use it as a seasoning for meats, vegetables, or even desserts. Cultural significance: garum was so valuable that entire industries developed around its production and export. Different regions had their own versions, with some being more highly prized than others. Wealthy Romans would import the best garum from Spain or North Africa. 4. Globi, Roman sweet fried dough balls. Globi were a popular sweet treat in ancient Rome, particularly during festivals and celebrations. These crispy, honey-dipped dough balls are similar to modern-day donuts. Ingredients: 1 cup wheat flour. Half a cup ricotta cheese or fresh curd cheese. Honey for dipping. poppy seeds or sesame seeds, optional, for coating. Recipe: mix the flour and cheese to form a thick dough. Roll the dough into small balls. Heat oil in a deep frying pan and fry the dough balls until golden and crispy. Remove from the oil and drain on paper towels. While still warm, dip the balls in honey. Optionally, roll the honey-coated balls in poppy or sesame seeds for added texture. Cultural significance: these sweet treats were often made for special occasions and festivals, highlighting the Romans' love for honey and fried pastries. 5. Pulse, Roman porridge. Pulse was the foundation of the Roman diet, especially for the lower classes. It was a versatile dish made from boiled grains, usually barley, emmer, or spelt, and could be enhanced with vegetables, cheese, or meat. Ingredients: 1 cup barley or emmer wheat, 3 cups water, 1 tablespoon olive oil, salt to taste. Recipe: bring the grain and water to a boil and simmer over low heat until the grains soften and form a thick, porridge-like consistency. Stir in olive oil and season with salt. For a richer dish, mix in vegetables like leeks, cabbage, or greens, or add grated cheese. Serve hot, either on its own or as a side dish with meat or fish. Cultural significance: pulse was a staple of the Roman diet, particularly among the plebeians and soldiers. It was filling, nutritious, and easy to prepare, making it a go-to meal for the lower classes. 6. Patina of pears, Roman pear casserole. This sweet and spiced dessert comes from Apicius, the Roman cookbook. Combining fruit, eggs, and spices, this dish was a delicacy enjoyed at banquets. Ingredients: for ripe pears, 1 tablespoon honey, half a cup white wine or grape juice, 1 egg, a pinch of black pepper, a pinch of cumin, olive oil for greasing the baking dish. Recipe: peel, core, and mash the pears into a puree. In a bowl, mix the pear puree with honey, wine, egg, pepper, and cumin. Grease a baking dish with olive oil and pour in the mixture. Bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit 175 degrees Celsius for about 30 minutes, or until the mixture is set. Serve warm or at room temperature. Cultural significance: fruit-based desserts like this were popular among the wealthy, showcasing their access to imported spices and sweeteners. Pears were a favored fruit in Roman cuisine. 7. Conchicla, chickpeas with cumin and coriander. Chickpeas were a staple in Roman cuisine, often cooked with spices and herbs. This dish highlights the Roman use of cumin and coriander, spices they imported through trade routes with the East. Ingredients: 2 cups cooked chickpeas, 1 tablespoon olive oil, 1 teaspoon ground cumin, 1 teaspoon ground coriander, salt and pepper to taste. Recipe: toss the cooked chickpeas with olive oil, cumin, and coriander. Season with salt and pepper. Serve warm or at room temperature. This dish would often be part of a larger meal or served at banquets as a side dish. Cultural significance: chickpeas were highly valued by the Romans, being nutritious, filling, and easy to store. They were commonly eaten by soldiers and peasants, but also enjoyed by the upper classes when prepared with exotic spices. 8. Lagonna, early lasagna. Lagonna was the Roman precursor to modern lasagna, consisting of layers of dough, meats, vegetables, and cheese. Unlike today's lasagna, there was no tomato sauce, as tomatoes hadn't yet been introduced to Europe. Ingredients: dough made from flour and water rolled into thin sheets. Cooked ground meat, beef, pork, or chicken. Vegetables like leeks or cabbage. Goat or sheep's cheese. Olive oil. Recipe: prepare thin sheets of dough. Layer the dough in a baking dish, alternating with cooked meat, vegetables, and cheese. Drizzle olive oil between the layers. Bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit 175 degrees Celsius for about 40 minutes, until the top is golden and crispy. Cultural significance: Lagona demonstrates how Roman cooks were skilled at layering flavors and textures, using ingredients readily available in the Mediterranean. 9. Stuffed dormice, glyers. Dormice were a luxury food reserved for the Roman elite. They were fattened in special containers before being stuffed and roasted for special banquets. Ingredients: dormice, substitute with small birds like quail. Ground pork. Pine nuts. Pepper. Garum, fish sauce. Recipe: clean the dormice or substitute bird. Prepare the stuffing by mixing ground pork, pine nuts, pepper, and garum. Stuff the dormice or bird with the mixture. Roast in a hot oven until golden and cooked through. Cultural significance: dormice were a sign of luxury, served during lavish feasts for the Roman elite. Though the idea may seem strange to modern diners, dormice were a delicacy in ancient Rome. 10. Boiled eggs with pine nut sauce. A simple yet sophisticated appetizer, boiled eggs with pine nut sauce were a common sight at Roman banquets. Ingredients: for hard-boiled eggs, half a cup pine nuts, 1 tablespoon vinegar, olive oil, black pepper. Recipe: toast the pine nuts lightly, then grind them into a paste. Mix the pine nut paste with vinegar, olive oil, and black pepper. Slice the boiled eggs and drizzle with the pine nut sauce. Serve as an appetizer or side dish. Cultural significance: eggs were considered nutritious and were often served in different ways, from simple boiled eggs to more elaborate dishes. The combination with pine nuts and vinegar shows how Romans balanced flavors of sweetness and acidity. Dining etiquette in Roman society. For the wealthy, dining was a display of status. Guests at Roman banquets would recline on triclinia, 3-sided couches, around a table, with the most important guest placed in the position of honor. Slaves served the food and wine, and meals could last for hours, punctuated with entertainment like poetry readings, music, or even gladiator fights in extreme cases. Common folk and soldiers had more straightforward meals, eating at wooden tables or even standing while eating bread and pulls from wooden bowls. Meals were eaten with hands or spoons, as forks were not used in ancient Rome. Wine was the drink of choice for everyone, though it was often diluted with water. Wealthy Romans had access to finer, aged wines, while poorer citizens drank rougher varieties.